that Melissa's age and Emily's age all together is 26. Emily is 15 years old. Write an equation to determine Melissa's age M. Well, it said if we put them together, that it was how many years old? 26. So if I put Emily and Melissa together, we know it's going to be 26, right? Okay, what other information do we know?
That Emily's 15.
Right. So really, all I need to do is take that 15 and replace Emily's name, right? And they said to use M for Melissa. All right. Huh? Okay. So, before we combine writing and solving the equation, let's just solve a few first. All right? So, on number 1, I am solving for D. What would be my first step to solve for this variable? Very good. All right, we want to get that by itself, so I'm going to subtract 8 from both sides, right? So then I have 4D is equal to, what is negative 16 minus 8?
Negative 24.
Nice. Okay, and then what would our next step be?
To divide.
Good. And what do you get when you divide negative 24 by 4?
Negative 6.
Very good. So my answer here, negative 6. Okay. All right, number 2. What do I want to do first to solve for C on number 2?
-6.
Right. We want to get C by itself. So the first step would be to move this other piece. Good. And what is negative 15 minus 6? Very good. Okay, now what?
9.
5. All right, this time we have a negative divided by a negative, so we know our answer is going to be very good. Positive. Nice. Okay. All right. Let's look at number 3. So on number 3, what are we doing first?
-16.
Good. And what is 10 minus 16?
-6.
There you go. All right, so now we have 3/4 A equals negative 6, right? So what would we do to get rid of the 3/4? We could divide, yes. We would just, because 3/4 is being multiplied by the A, you could divide by 3/4, okay? Remember, if we put that in our calculator, that we want to use alpha y equals. Okay, so in my graphing calculator, I would put alpha y equals enter, and I would put 3/4, right, divided by alpha y equals enter 3/4. Oops. Didn't move to the bottom. There we go. Okay. What do we get? Oh, sorry. I put the wrong thing in there, didn't I? Sorry, guys. Sorry, it was, what was it? Negative 6. Thank you. Negative 6 divided by alpha y equals 3/4. Okay. And what would that give us?
Negative.
There you go. Okay. So anytime you put a fraction in the calculator, make sure you use that alpha y equals key. Okay. So we do end up with a equals -8. All right. Number 4. What do we want to move first? Very good. Okay. And what is -5 minus 7? Very good. All right, so now we have m divided by 3 equals -12. So how do we get rid of that divide by 3? Right. Very good. You just multiply both sides by that 3. So it'll cancel out over here, and we do get -36. Nice. Okay. Then we have a few examples where we're going to write the equation and then solve it. Okay. So let's look at example number 5. It says write an equation for each situation, then solve. The length of a rectangle is 7 feet less than the width of the rectangle. The length is 22 feet. Okay. Well, from their words right here, they said length is. When I see that word is, what do I need? Right. So right now, length equals is what we've read so far, right? 7 feet less than the width. What does less than mean I need to do? Subtract, right? So I'm subtracting 7 from the what? Width. Very good. Okay. Then they also tell us that the length is 22 feet. So what should I do with that 22? Very good. I'm going to replace this with that 22. So I'm going to end up with 22 equals W minus 7. Right? Okay, now I'm supposed to solve for the width. That's what they want to know. So what are we going to do? Alright, so what is the width? 29. Very good. So the width is 29 feet. Alright, number 6. An orange contains about 80 milligrams of vitamin C, which is 10 times as much as an apple contains. How much vitamin C does the apple contain? Alright, so they said an orange contains about 80. So our orange is the 80, right? So that's the first piece of information they gave me. Orange is 80. So it contains 80, which is, when we see that word is, what do we need? Good. 10 times as much as an apple. So do we know how much the apple is? So I'm going to put 10 times what? Good. Now they want to know how much the apple contains. So now we got to solve for A. So what would we do here? So A is very good. So the apple contains 8, what is it, milligrams? Yep. All right. Okay, so once you got that one, let's flip it over onto the back. Look at number 7. All right, number 7 says 9 less than a number is 26. Find the number. So 9 less, what does that mean we're doing? Minus, right? I'm taking 9 away. Minus 9 from something. says minus 9 from a number. Do we know the number? No. So what's that going to look like? Very good. So a number minus 9. There's that word. Good. Nice. Okay, so what's that number? How are we going to find it? Good. So n is, very good. So the number is 35. All right. Number 8 says Carlos deposited $150 into his savings account. After the deposit, he has $827. How much money was in Carlos's saving account before he made the deposit? Okay, so he deposited $150. Does that mean he put money in or took money out? He deposited. Right, deposit means to put it in, right? So that means he's adding or subtracting money? Adding, right? Do we know how much was in there to begin with? No. So we have some unknown amount, and he added the 150 to it. So what would that look like? Plus, do we know how much was in there to begin with? No. So some unknown, right? Any letter, or what letter do you use? What are you going to use? In. Okay. So some amount of money plus you went and added 150 to it, right? After he deposited that much money, he ended up with this much. So what do I want to do? Nice. And they want to know how much was in there before he added the 150. So what are we going to do? Okay. So what is in? Nice. So he had $677 before the deposit. Okay. Number 9 says that a moving company charges $1,200 for the supplies needed to pack up a small house and an additional $90 per hour to do the loading and moving. If the cost of moving is $1,740, how many hours did the moving company need to move the small house? Okay, so let's break this down. They're going to charge them how much no matter what. Right. So we already know it's going to cost them this much no matter what, right? Okay. From this point on, how do you determine what's being put towards your total? Per hour, right? So am I subtracting 90? What am I doing there? Huh? Plus, right, adding, very good. Adding 90 per hour. How do I write 90 per hour? 90H, good. So 90 times however many hours, right? We have no idea how many hours it's going to take. Okay, and this should what? How do we finish this problem? Right. And they want us to figure out how many hours it took, right? So what am I going to do now? Okay. So what is 1740 minus 1200? Very good. Then what? So it looks like it took them how many hours? Very good. one more. Okay. Says to rent a car from Car Rent A Center, Evan must pay $25 plus an additional $2 per mile that he drives. If Evan has a total of $325 to spend on renting a car, how many miles can he afford to drive it? Okay, so again, this is going to cost him some certain amount no matter what. How much? 25. Alright, so we're starting out with it costing $25. Just like with the moving company, it cost them the $1,200 no matter what. Right? Okay. And then it says he's paying an additional means we need to be doing what? Right? Per mile. How am I going to write 2 per mile? 2M, no, we couldn't. 2 times however many miles they go. We don't know how many, right? And in the end, we find out that it ended up costing him, so I'm going to put equals that amount, right? Okay, now subtract. So 2M is equal to, good, and what? So how many miles?